Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You can't live with them and you can't live without them. Get seriously involved with the classic guide to surviving the opposite sex. This book is dedicated with deepest love and affection to my wife, Bonnie Gray. Her love, vulnerability, wisdom, and strength have inspired me to be the best I can be and to share what we have learned together. Contents: Acknowledgement, Introduction, Chapter 1st. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Chapter 2. Mr. Fix It and the Home Improvement Committee. Chapter 3. Men go to their caves and women talk. Chapter 4. How to motivate the opposite sex. Chapter 5. Speaking different languages. Chapter 6. Men are like rubber bands. Chapter 7. Women are like waves. Chapter 8. Discovering our different emotional needs. Chapter 9. How to avoid arguments. Chapter 10. Scoring points with the opposite sex. Chapter 11. How to communicate different feelings. Chapter 12. How to ask for support and get it. Chapter 13. Keeping the magic of love alive. Introduction. A week after our daughter Lauren was born, my wife Bonnie and I were completely exhausted. Each night, Lauren kept waking us. Bonnie had been torn in the delivery and was taking painkillers. She could barely walk. After 5 days of staying home to help, I went back to work. She seemed to be getting better. While I was away, she ran out of pain pills. Instead of calling me at the office, she asked one of my brothers who was visiting to purchase more. My brother, however, did not return with the pills. Consequently, she spent the whole day in pain taking care of a newborn. I had no idea that her day had been so awful. When I returned home, she was very upset. I misinterpreted the cause of her distress and thought she was blaming me. She said, I've been in a pain all day. I ran out of pills. I've been stranded in bed and nobody cares. I said defensively, why didn't you call me? She said, I asked your brother, but he forgot. I have been waiting for him to return all day. What am I supposed to do? I can barely walk. I feel so deserted. At this point, I exploded. My fuse was also very short that day. I was angry that she hadn't called me. I was furious that she was blaming me when I didn't even know she was in pain. After exchanging a few harsh words, I headed for the door. I was tired, irritable, and had heard enough. We had both reached our limits. Then something started to happen that would change my life. Bonnie said, Stop. Please don't leave. This is when I need you the most. I am in pain. I haven't slept in days. Please listen to me. I stopped for a moment to listen. She said, John Gray, you are a fair weather friend. As long as I am sweet, loving Bonnie, you are here for me. But as soon as I am not, you walk right out that door. Then she paused and her eyes filled up with tears. As her tone shifted, she said, Right now I am in pain. I have nothing to give. This is when I need you the most. Please come over here and hold me. You don't have to say anything. I just need to feel your arms around me. Please don't go. I walked over silently, held her. She wept in my arms. After a few minutes, she thanked me for not leaving. She told me that she just needed to feel me holding her. At that moment, I started to realize the real meaning of love, unconditional love. I had always thought of myself as a loving person, but she was right. I had been a fair weather friend. As long as she was happy and nice, I loved back. But if she was unhappy or upset, I would feel blamed and then argue or distance myself. That day, for the first time, I didn't leave her. I stayed, and it felt great. I succeeded in giving to her when she really needed me. This felt like real love. Caring for another person, trusting in our love, being there at her hour of need. I marveled at how easy it was for me to support her when I was shown the way. How had I missed this? She just needed me to go over and hold her. Another woman would have instinctively known what Bonnie needed. But as a man, I didn't know that touching, holding, and listening were so important to her. By recognizing these differences, I began to learn a new way of relating to my wife. I would have never believed we could resolve conflict so easily. In my previous relationships, I had become indifferent and unloving at difficult times simply because I didn't know what else to do. As a result, my first marriage had been very painful and difficult. This incident with Bonnie revealed to me how I could change this pattern. It inspired my 7 years of research to help develop and refine the insights about men and women in this book. By learning in very practical and specific terms about how men and women are different, I suddenly began to realize that my marriage did not need to be such a struggle. With this new awareness of our differences, Bonnie and I were able to improve dramatically our communication and enjoy each other more. By continuing to recognize and explore our differences, we have discovered new ways to improve all our relationships. We have learned about relationship in ways that our parents never knew and therefore could not have taught us. As I began sharing these insights with my counseling clients, their relationships were also enriched. Literally, thousands of those who attended my weekend seminars saw their relationships dramatically transform overnight. 7 years later, individuals and couples still report successful benefits. I receive pictures of happy couples and their children with letters thanking me for saving their marriage. Although their love saved their marriage, they would have divorced if they hadn't gained a deeper understanding of the opposite sex. Susan and Jim had been married 9 years. Like most couples, they started out loving each other, but after years of increasing frustration and disappointment, they lost their passion and decided to give up. Before getting a divorce, however, they attended my weekend relationship seminar. Susan said, "We have tried everything to make this relationship work. We are just too different." During the seminar, they were amazed to learn that their differences were not only normal but were to be expected. They were comforted that other couples had experienced the same patterns of relating. In just 2 days, Susan and Jim gained a totally new understanding of men and women. They fell in love again, their relationship miraculously changed. No longer heading toward a divorce, they looked forward to sharing the rest of their lives together. Jim said, "This information about our differences has given me back my wife. This is the greatest ship I could ever receive. We are loving each other again." 6 years later, when they invited me to visit their new home and family, they were still loving each other. They were still thanking me for helping them to understand each other and stay married. Although almost everyone would agree that men and women are different, how different is still undefined for most people. Many books in the last 10 years have forged ahead attempting to define these differences. Though important advances have been made, many books are one-sided and unfortunately reinforces mistrust and resentment toward the opposite sex. One sex is generally viewed as being victimized by the other. A definitive guide was needed for understanding how healthy men and women are different. To improve relationships between the sexes, it is important to create an understanding of our differences that raises self esteem and personal dignity while inspiring mutual trust, personal responsibility, increased cooperation, and greater love. As a result of questioning more than 25,000 participants in my relationship seminars, I have been able to define in positive terms how men and women are different. As you explore these differences, you will feel walls of resentment and mistrust melting down. Opening the heart results in greater forgiveness and increased motivation to give and receive love and support. With this new awareness, you will, I hope, go beyond the suggestions in this book and continue to develop ways in which you can relate loving to the opposite sex. All the principles in this book have been tested and tried. At least 90% of more than 25,000 people questioned have enthusiastically recognized themselves in these descriptions. If you find yourself nodding your head while reading this book, saying, "Yes, yes, this is me you are talking about," then you are definitely not alone. And just as others have benefited from applying the insights in this book, you can as well. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus reveals new strategies for reducing tensions in relationships and creating more love by first recognizing in great detail how men and women are different. It then offers practical suggestions about how to reduce frustration and disappointment and to create increasing happiness and intimacy. Relationships do not have to be such a struggle. Only when we do not understand one another is there tension, resentment, or conflict. So many people are frustrated in their relationships. They love their parents, but when there is tension, they do not know what to do to make things better. Through understanding how completely different men and women are, you will learn new ways for successfully relating with, listening to, and supporting the opposite sex. You will learn how to create the love you deserve. As you read this book, you may wonder how anybody succeeds in having a successful relationship without it. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus is a manual for loving relationships. It reveals how women and men differ in all areas of their lives. Not only do men and women communicate differently, but they think, feel, perceive, react, respond, love, need, and appreciate differently. They almost seem to be from different planets, speaking different languages, and needing different nourishment. This expanded understanding of our differences helps resolve much of the frustration in dealing with and trying to understand the opposite sex. Misunderstandings can be quickly dissipated or avoided. Incorrect expectations are easily corrected when you remember that your partner is as different from you as someone from another planet. You can relax and cooperate with the differences instead of resisting or trying to change them. Most important, throughout this book, you will learn practical techniques for resolving the problems that arise from our differences. This book is not just a theoretical analysis of psychological differences, but also a practical manual for how to succeed in creating loving relationships. The truth of these principles is self evident and can be validated by your own experiences as well as by common sense. Many examples will simply and concisely express what you have always intuitively known. This validation will assist you in being you and in not losing yourself in your relationships. In response to these insights, men often say, "This is exactly how I am. Have you been following me around? I no longer feel like something is wrong with me." Women often say, "Finally, my husband listens to me. I don't have to fight to be validated. When you explain our differences, my husband understands. Thank you." These are but a few of the thousands of inspirational comments that people have shared after learning that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. The results of this new program for understanding the opposite sex are not only dramatic and immediate but also long lasting. Certainly, the journey of creating a loving relationship can be rocky at times. Problems are inevitable, but these problems either can be sources of resentment and rejection or can be opportunities for deepening understanding, intimacy, and increasing love, caring, and trust. The insights of this book are not a quick fix to eliminate all problems. Instead, they provide a new approach whereby your relationships can successfully support you in solving life's problems as they arise. With this new awareness, you will have the tools you need to get the love you deserve and to give your partner the love and support he or she deserves. I make many generalizations about men and women in this book. Probably you will find some comments truer than others. After all, we are unique individuals with unique experiences. Sometimes in my seminar, couples and individuals will share that they relate to the examples of men and women, but in an opposite way. The men relates to my descriptions of women, and the women relates to my description of men. I call this role reversal. If you discover you are experiencing role reversal, I want to assure you that everything is alright. I suggest that when you do not relate to something in this book, either ignore it, moving on to the something you do relate to, or look deeper inside yourself. Many men have denied some of their masculine attributes in order to become more loving and nurturing. Likewise, many women have denied some of their feminine attributes in order to earn a living in a workforce that rewards masculine attributes. If this is the case, then by applying the suggestions, strategies, and techniques in this book, you do not only will create more passion in your relationships but also will increasingly balance your masculine and feminine characteristics. In this book, I do not directly address the question of why men and women are different. This is a complex question to which there are many answers ranging from biological differences, parental influence, education, and birth order to cultural conditioning by society, the media, and history. These issues are explored in great depth in my book, Men, Women, and Relationships Making Peace with the Opposite Sex. Although the benefits of applying the insights in this book are immediate, this book does not replace the need for therapy and counseling for troubled relationships or survivors of a dysfunctional family. Even healthy individuals may need therapy or counseling at challenging times. I believe strongly in the powerful and gradual transformation that occurs in therapy, marriage counseling, and 12-step recovery groups. Yet, repeatedly, I have heard people say that they have benefited more from this new understanding of relationship than from years of therapy. I, however, believe that their years of therapy or recovery work provided the groundwork that allowed them to apply these insights so successfully to their life and relationships. If our past was dysfunctional, then even after years of therapy or attending recovery groups, we still need a positive picture of healthy relationships. This book provides that vision. On the other hand, even if our past has been very loving and nurturing, times have changed and a new approach to relationships between the sexes is still required. It is essential to learn new and healthy ways of relating the communicating. I believe everyone can benefit from the insights in this book. The only negative response I hear from participants in my seminars and in the letters I receive is, I wish someone had told me this before. It is never too late to increase the love in your life. You only need to learn a new way. Whether you are in therapy or not, if you want to have more fulfilling relationships with the opposite sex, this book is for you. It is a pleasure to share with you. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. May you always grow in wisdom and in love. May the frequency of divorce decrease and the number of happy marriages increase. Our children deserve a better world. John Gray, California.